The Rachel Hollis Podcast is proudly sponsored by Amica Insurance. As Amica says, empathy is our best policy. That's why they'll go above and beyond to tailor your insurance coverage to best fit your needs. Whether you're on the road, at home, or traveling along life's journey, their friendly and knowledgeable representatives will work with you to ensure that you have the right coverage in place. Amica will provide you with peace of mind. Go to amica.com to get a quote today. The New Balance 1080 is the ultimate daily trainer, combining reliable comfort and top-tier performance. I live in my sneakers. I use them to walk around the block, to run around my neighborhood, and to get all the chores done in a day that I need to as a working mom. So whether you're logging miles or running errands, the 1080 seamlessly transitions from the coffee shop to the grocery store, to the podcast studio, or wherever else you've got to get things done. The New Balance 1080 features a cushioned midsole for secure support and comfort, while the totally lightweight, breathable mesh upper keeps your feet cool and fresh on every run. Shop the 1080 at newbalance.com. Resistance shows up when we're stepping outside of our comfort zone. Yes, it feels hard, but it feels hard in a way that challenges us. So that can be like, you feel fear or you doubt yourself, but deep down, you still feel so excited about trying this thing that you're trying. When it's resistance, the obstacles feel like a personal challenge. So it feels like something that you know in your heart you got to overcome. When we talk about things like imposter syndrome or fear of failure or procrastination, those are personal challenges that you know you need to overcome. I assume if you are hanging out with me, even if you are on the very first part of your personal development journey, you know enough to understand that you shouldn't be walking around in life with imposter syndrome. You know that you'd like to get over your fear of failure or your procrastination. You know that. So if you know that they are personal challenges that you should overcome, that's resistance. That's you growing on the other side of the challenge. Hi, I'm Rachel, and in this show, we talk about everything: life and work, health and healing, relationships with others and with ourselves. These are stories for the seekers. These are conversations for the curious. This is the Rachel Hollis Podcast. Hey guys, it's Rach. Welcome back to another episode of the show, and this one's going to be woo-woo. I'm going to just go ahead and say that right here at the top. I feel like most of the conversations I have with y'all involve some sort of spiritual hippie vibes, but today is straight up woo-woo hippie. So if you are like the police chief in a small town, and for some reason you stumbled onto this conversation and you are like straight edge, never thought of anything woo-woo in your life, I don't know if this is the podcast episode to start with. Maybe it is, but it also might scare you. You got to have a little bit of that energy before you jump into this episode if you're going to enjoy it. That's my caveat for today's conversation. I just want you to go in. We're not going to get too wild. We're not pulling on magic, but we are talking about signs from the universe, or the way I would have grown up having this conversation is signs that God is sending you, that your guardian angels are sending you. I use those terms really interchangeably because I believe that it's all one big giant thing, but you can interchange those words however makes sense for you. Just know that today's conversation is going through that lens if you didn't understand it based on the title. The thing I'm excited about with this episode is that this idea came to me this morning. So, talk about signs from the universe. As a frame of reference, my producer Jack and I usually look through the next few weeks when we're trying to identify what we want to talk about here on the show. So, we have a calendar and we'll put ideas in. And then every week at our meeting, we'll be like, hey, what do you think about this? What do you think about that? And we'll sort of plan out the podcast content for weeks in advance. But every once in a while, I will have something happen in my life, or in this instance, I feel like I'm getting a nudge and I'm like, ooh, that's a really good conversation I want to have with the guys. And if you don't know, you're the guys. Let me give you a little backstory on where this idea came from, and then let's get into it. I believe that we are constantly being guided and we are being given signals. And if we are open and aware of that guidance, it makes the quality of our life better and it makes things less painful. That doesn't mean that life won't be painful. I think we are all destined for some kind of hardship in our life. But I do think that when we go with guidance, we are typically living in a state of more peace. I think that when we fight the flow, that's when things get hard. And if you are listening to your guidance, whether that's your inner knowing or source that's bigger than you, it can really help you so much. I think we're getting signs from the universe all the time. And the better you get at listening to those signs, the better your life will be. But then I didn't always think of it in that way. And I wondered if maybe you guys don't think of it as the messages you're getting are signs. Just in case you don't, I thought, oh, what if I did an episode about the 3 most important signs? I think, obviously, the podcast has my name on it. So these are my opinions. You might have totally different ones to consider. And if the only thing you take out of today's conversation is maybe being aware to what you perceive as signs or what messages you are getting, I think that would be awesome, even if they're not the same ones that I listen to. This idea came to me because I had an experience yesterday where I felt like the universe was universing. God was godding. There were like 4 things that happened that I thought, what? I don't know about astrology, but I was like, if I knew about astrology, maybe like 7 planets lined up. I don't know what was happening yesterday, but it was wild. And I felt like I was getting signs in such a major way that I wanted to talk to y'all about it. That's the backstory. That's the why. My intention is just to give you some thoughts to chew on, or maybe to take you on a deep dive in areas you've already been thinking about. So let's start with the first sign that I never ignore. And maybe y'all have heard me talk about this a bit, and maybe you've read about it in the new book, because I just believe in this so deeply. The number one sign from the universe you should never ignore is how your body reacts. How your body reacts to a situation, to an environment, to a person, to a thought is so freaking important. And for so many of us, we have been taught to shut down this most basic animal instinct. Your body is always telling you if a situation is safe or not. This is science. This is biology. This is how we are made. Think about it. Every mammal on this planet, and you are one, can sense on the most basic animal level whether or not they are safe. So I want you to imagine a deer that's like rolling around in a forest right now. If you've never watched a nature documentary, please evolve your life and go watch some, Attenborough and learn about the world around you. But if you've never seen any footage of like a deer as it's eating grass, and then all of a sudden a pack of wolves try and sneak up behind it, the deer like puts its head up, starts looking around. It does not know that there are wolves there. It doesn't see the wolves. It senses that something has changed energetically in its field. Now, if it actually gets the real physical information, if it smells the wolf, if it sees the wolf, it's going to sprint. But what I want you to track, any animal on any nature documentary, there is a moment where the predator starts to sneak up and that animal goes on high alert. Everything in its body is poised to try and make a decision. It doesn't know why, but it is sensing, is this safe? Because a predator has just come into the environment. You are an animal on the most basic level. And I am telling you, your body always knows if this guy is safe. Your body always knows if this job is the right choice for you. Your body always knows if this is the apartment that you should rent. Your body knows. And that's okay. Yeah, that does sound woo-woo, police chief, because you're like, well, if it's animal, like a deer doesn't know if it's the right apartment. I know. This is just, it is. Your body freaking knows. I don't know how. I don't know why. But I am telling you, I can give you 1,000 examples in my life of when I was younger and I didn't understand this. And I would go into environments and I would feel it in my body, but I was raised to be a good girl and I was raised to be polite and I never wanted to offend anybody. And I would get, into the process of interviewing for a job and start to feel weird in my body about this person or what this environment would be. Or, I feel a little weird about the fact that this apartment seems, yeah, it's like super affordable, but the neighborhood's kind of sketchy and I'm living by myself as a young woman. Is this safe? I would always get these instincts, but I would ignore them because that's what I was taught to do. My brain would overtake my animal instinct. What I need you to contemplate, if you never have before, is that your body is speaking to you. Are you listening? My biggest example of this is years and years and years of debilitating anxiety. And now I believe my body was speaking to me about the unhealth of the relationship that I was in, but I didn't know there was a problem. I didn't know. So I just was like, oh my God, it's me. I'm having anxiety. You guys, I don't get anxiety now unless I am in an environment that I'm like, ooh, dang, okay, I'm not supposed to be here. This is not for me. I really, truly have learned that signal. And I think that it got to this debilitating place because I was ignoring it. The warnings in situations, they start as like a little unease. You feel kind of weird. You have a feeling in your stomach. Your body will start to get bigger and bigger with these signals when you ignore it. How many people are walking around with illnesses that they can't explain or pain that they can't explain? Your body is talking to you. Now let me take this one step further. And I want to preface what I'm saying because it's going to sound harsh, but you got to listen to it for a second. I understand that there are times in life where the feelings are overwhelming and we want to numb them or we want to mute them. But my instinct is that there are people listening to this conversation right now who are numbing so they don't have to contemplate the signals their body is giving to them. Whether that's with alcohol, whether that's with drugs, whether that's with prescription pills, whether that's with a shopping addiction, a porn addiction, anything that you do so that you don't have to think about what you don't want to think about is you numbing yourself. And I have been in seasons 1,000,000% where everything felt too hard and too overwhelming. And absolutely, I'll have a glass of wine. And absolutely, I'll have a vodka LaCroix. And absolutely, I'll do those things so I don't have to feel these feelings. But all that does is prolong this fight or flight inside of you So you're not helping the instinct. So you're jacking up your cortisol levels. You're not helping your body to process the things that it is feeling. You're numbing, and you're probably numbing in a way that's making you feel shameful. And you're probably numbing in a way that is weakening your body. Like if you're drinking every night so you don't have to feel the feelings, you're weakening your body. So, like on multiple levels, you are hurting yourself and making it harder. Yeah, it sucks to face the fact that something's wrong in your life. But I promise you that numbing yourself and hoping it goes away is not going to solve the problem. Your body is always speaking to you. Listeners, NerdWallet wants you to let them do the work for you. Looking for auto insurance? The Nerds will match you with top providers in your area in just a few questions. So getting the right rate for you is as simple as going to nerdwallet.com. After all, letting NerdWallet do the work is more than smart. It's genius. Not all applicants will qualify for the lowest monthly payments. NerdWallet Insurance Services Incorporated. California resident license number OK92033.
Shake up dinner time at Whole Foods Market with bold flavors. Now through the 25th, shop the Fire Up Asia sales event in store and online. Don't get takeout. Make your own stir fry with sales on organic baby broccoli and leafy greens. Whole Foods Market Kitchen's marinated meats, momofuku sauces, and more. In a hurry? Look for sales in the sushi department or bring home savory Indian cuisine from the hot bar. Kick dinner time up a notch at Whole Foods Market.
You need to catch up with what your body is saying. Do not let your brain talk you out of it. Pay attention to your chest feeling tight, knots in your stomach, the signs of misalignment. Let's also look at the flip side. Pay attention to the moments when you feel light, when you feel peaceful, when you feel energized, when you feel like, wow, I'm really like right place, right moment. Everything is vibing. Like this feels really good. Pay attention to those moments. Your body is always talking to you. I have to tell you, if this is not something you've ever considered before, you got to check out my new book. You do not have to buy it. Get it from the library, borrow it from your sister. If you want to buy it, buy it. If you like the sound of my voice, it's available in audio and I narrate it. But take a deep dive. That entire book, it's called What If You Are the Answer? Because the entire book is about getting in touch with your intuition. And there is a whole chapter on this exact topic, that we are animal instinct. Like the question in that chapter is, when did you know something was wrong? My instinct is that a bunch of you have a situation in your life and you know it's not okay and you don't know what to do about it. So if you want to take a deep dive, grab that one. Second sign from the universe that I never ignore, and I'm really excited to talk to you guys about this one, is synchronicity. Synchronicity, according to me, is seeing, I would call it like winks from the universe. So it's things like seeing the same word over and over. You hear someone say a word, it kind of sticks out in your mind, and then you see that word on a billboard, and then you hear someone say it on the radio. It's seeing the same symbols again and again. It's seeing numbers, the same numbers over and over. Or you happen to notice your clock and you just happen to notice it at 2:22. And then a couple days later, you see your clock again, it's 2:22. And you're like, whoa, this is wild. Like, why do I keep seeing the same numbers? My son sees his dad's initials. He'll see them in like license plates and on billboards. He'll see them over and over. And he always sees that as a sign that his dad's like sending him love and sending him good vibes. So synchronicity is when you are seeing the same things over and over. But let me add a caveat here. It's when you are seeing symbols that are meaningful to you. You're seeing something and you get like a zing in your body. You get a feeling in your spirit. You get like a, oh, whoa, that's weird. Why is that showing up? So for example, if you noticed a red number 3 And then a few days later, you saw red number 3. You were like, wow, that's red number 3 again. But there was nothing meaningful to you in that. I don't really think of that as synchronicity. I think your brain just noticed a red number 3. Now, the difference to me would be you find out that a teacher that you really loved passed away. You find out, your second grade teacher passed away and you really appreciated her and what she meant in your community. And so you've been thinking about her in your mind, and you remember that in second grade, this favorite teacher always sang the same song after lunch. And then a week later, you hear that song on the radio. That is synchronicity because it is something meaningful to you. If there isn't meaning behind it, it's just, I think, sort of a fluke, a random thing. But you want to pay attention to moments of synchronicity because, number one, it's a huge sign that you're living your life in flow. Flow is you're going with your guidance. You're walking a path you're meant to walk. You're going where you're meant to go. And the reason I think that we see synchronicity when we are in flow is because we are paying attention to the signs. We are paying attention to what God is trying to tell us. When you are forcing the funk, when you're trying to, take a machete to the path, you're trying to do your own thing, you're so focused on what you want to happen and what you are trying to force to happen that you're not even aware of the signs that are coming at you. So I think synchronicity is a really beautiful sign that you're on the right path and that you are going with flow. But let me tell you about the synchronicity that happened yesterday, which is the entire impetus behind this episode. There's a bunch of stuff happening in my life, good stuff. Hiring people, letting people move on to their next thing. I told you guys a couple weeks ago that I was going to put an offer in on a house. More on this in a minute because it's going to be the conversation I use for my third sign. But as it pertains to synchronicity, I had 2 things happen yesterday at the same time. And I was like, whoa, this is wild. There's a deal that I am considering doing with a partner. It's a big opportunity, something that I'm really interested in. We've been going back and forth. It's someone I've worked with before for many years. So I felt really good going into this situation. Along the way, the back and forth, the contract negotiation kind of stuff, it started to feel very clunky. And I really pay attention. I should have done that as my 4th sign. When things start to feel clunky, all of a sudden, why is this so hard? Why is this so weird? Why is this not moving? It doesn't mean that everything will happen easily, because it does take effort and work to pull anything off in this life. But when you start to run into unnecessary weird stops and starts, I don't allow that to shut me down, but I do sort of go, oh, what's this? I take note of it. So this back and forth contract thing started to feel very clunky. And then it was going back and forth about a money thing. And the person that I was talking to was negotiating as the in-between, sort of the mediator between the big business and me. And it was back and forth and back and forth. I just started to feel really weird about it. And my spidey senses were going off. And they were like, oh, well, this person wants this. And I said, okay, well, that's not what we talked about. But yeah, I could see how that could work. I can do it that way if XYZ. And then the person in the middle was like, well, actually, nope, that doesn't work for them. They want. So it was kind of no matter what I said, they kept trying to guide me. And I think really trying to force me down a certain path that I did not want to walk. I finally got to the place where I was like, okay, I see, fine, we'll make it work. Yes, we'll do it this way. And then even saying it to you, I just got chills again. They send an email and they say, oh, we have a little hiccup. There's a hiccup in the plan. And the hiccup was that the person they're negotiating on behalf of can't actually do it that way at all. Which made no sense, right? Because I'm like, wait, you guys asked me for this. This doesn't make any sense. But I just thought it was so funny because they were like, it's a little hiccup. And guess what? It was not a little hiccup. It was actually a huge, like, this could kill the deal kind of situation. But I just noticed that word because I thought that's so funny. Like, what a ridiculous thing to say. This is not a quote, little hiccup. You want me to think it's a little hiccup, but it's not. So I was like, that's wild. At that point, I felt really confident. And this is me and like just knowing my intuition and knowing I am being guided. I immediately was like, I can't do this deal. This is not okay. And it wasn't about the word hiccup. It was just like, something is wrong here. Someone is not telling me all of the information. This is not okay. I have to say no. So I just wrote back, totally understand. Thank you so much. I'm not going to be able to do this. Like, I'm that quick. I trust my gut in these situations. I've tried every which way but loose to kind of get this to work. It's not working. I'm going to remove myself. Of course they try and like fix the deal. No, like let me, Okay, so that happens. 30 minutes later, I get an email about the house I told you guys about that I made an offer on. I think I told you it's a fixer-upper, needs a lot of work. And when I first walked into this house, let's get real woo-woo, I saw what it could be and I saw the number that I wanted to offer. It was like very clear in my mind. And I was like, that is fair. That's great. I would be able to get the house. I would be able to do the many, many, many improvements. And I feel good about it. So we put this offer in. And then the real estate agent sends me an email. These are completely different people, you guys. And guess what he says? There's a little hiccup in the plan. And all of my alarm bells, to me, that is synchronicity. And what the hiccup was in this instance was, the real estate agent has other offers coming in. And so they're wondering if you want to raise your offer, And I just felt so strongly in both situations that it was like middlemen, not just men, but like middlemen who are trying to negotiate for more money because the two sides of the deal can't talk to each other. And in both situations, like not the same industries, but the same thing. And they both use the term little hiccup to describe something that was not little. And I was like, OMG, this is the same thing again. Like I felt so strongly that was the universe being like, this is the same scenario. So I did exactly what I did with the other deal. I said, this is totally amazing for the seller. Absolutely understand. I am not going to come up any more than I already have. I am going to have to put so much into this house to get it to the place that it works for my family. This is a huge undertaking with 4 kids, but I completely understand if they need to go with the higher priced offer. And right now, I actually still don't know what the answer is going to be, but I feel so at peace with not allowing someone to push me around. Now, I'm sure there's absolutely wheeler dealer business people who are like, oh, no way. Like, that's what threw you off the deal. Yeah, because I listen to my gut. And it hasn't steered me wrong yet. So I'm just going to keep paying attention to those signals. So my question to you is going to be, what synchronicities are popping up in your life right now? Are you noticing them? Are you taking time to reflect on what they might mean? Oftentimes, I won't really know why I may be getting that specific thing, but it makes me go, ooh, pay attention. Pay attention to that. That there's something there. Something's trying to talk to me. I need to be aware of things right now. Sometimes I wonder if my guardian angels just kind of put those things in my path to remind me to stay aware and to make sure that I'm praying and to make sure that I'm meditating and to make sure that I'm asking for help and asking for guidance. And if that's all the synchronicity is for, I think it serves a really beautiful purpose. But whenever I see things like that pop up, I do not ignore them. I'm like that deer in the forest. My head comes up and I'm like, okay, what are you trying to tell me?
Are you still quoting 30-year-old movies? Have you said cool beans in the past 90 days? Do you think Discover isn't widely accepted? If this sounds like you're stuck in the past. Discover is accepted at 99% of places that take credit cards nationwide. And every time you make a purchase with your card, you automatically earn cash back. Welcome to the now. It pays to Discover. Learn more at discover.com/credit card based on the February 2024 Nielsen report.
Okay, business leaders, are you here to play or are you playing to win? If you're in it to win, meet your next MVP, NetSuite by Oracle. NetSuite is your full business management system in one convenient suite. With NetSuite, you're running your accounting, your finance, your HR, your e-commerce, and more, all from your online dashboard. Upgrade your playbook and make the switch to NetSuite, the #1 cloud ERP.
Get the CFO's Guide to AI and Machine Learning at netsuite.com/podcast25. netsuite.com/podcast25.
Third sign from the universe I never ignore: repeated obstacles and doors closing. Allow me to explain. For probably the last 20 years, I have had a very similar prayer throughout my life, which is, God, slam the doors in my face. If it is not for me, slam the doors in my face. My prayer is like, make it so obvious that this is not the right path for me, because I am such a dreamer and I believe in everybody and I will put a positive spin on anything. And so I really need it to be obvious or I will make the wrong choice. I am awful at hiring people to be on our team. I'm the worst. I'm so bad at it because I believe what everybody says. I see the best in everybody. Someone's like, no, I don't have any experience, but I'm pretty sure I can figure out how to do heart surgery. I'm like, I believe that for you, Sarah. I'm too positive Pollyanna to interview anybody. I know that about myself. I am not a good judge of who will make a great teammate. I really am not. So I have to ask for things to be super clear to me. I used to do it mostly just in like business. I would be like, man, if this is not the right deal, God, please slam these doors in my face. Make it really hard for me to get through. But I think, y'all, if you have an area in your life where you feel like you keep screwing up, and we could say that. We can say that sometimes we screw up in life and we keep messing up in the same ways. This is a great prayer. Just be like, God, man, I keep making bad choices here. Just block my path. So a new one for me is, I just imagine my guardian angels. I'm just like these fierce, I don't know, these are like warrior angels. And I am like, hide me from view for shisty people. If someone is shisty, if someone is a user, if someone is a fair weather friend, just make me invisible to them. And ever since I started to pray this, I swear it's so insane. I'll go for like a consultation, like, oh, I want to hire this agency to do this, or I want to talk to this person about doing that, or maybe this person would make a good collaborator. It is bananas how often like people just fall off a cliff. Like I'll go for a meeting, I'll feel really good about it, and then they'll be like, okay, great, we'll get the presentation over to you by the end of the week. And these are like deals that are worth a lot for these companies. And then just they'll fall off a cliff. And in the old days, I would pursue that. I would be like, hey, I thought you were going to have a proposal to me. I don't really know, what happened there. And they'll be like, oh my gosh, of course. And they'll send it to me. And then I'll start the process with them. And then I'll lose 6 months and so much money. And they suck. And I'm back where I started. And now when people disappear, when people ghost, I'm like, oh, thank you. I just assume the guardian angels have created a wall. I've got an invisibility cloak. I don't know. Just like make me invisible to shisty people. That is my prayer. Pay attention to the obstacles and the doors closing in your face. Now, I know you guys, and I know the follow-up question that you're going to ask, which is, wait a minute, Rach, you talk about perseverance and grit and tenacity and not taking no for an answer. So how do I know the difference between what is resistance? Like I have this dream and I'm trying to get past these obstacles, and that's resistance. How do I know the difference between resistance and redirection? How do I know if this is an obstacle I'm supposed to fight to get past, or if this is something that is the universe trying to guide me in a different direction? Thank you for asking, because I have some answers for you. The difference between resistance and redirection can feel tricky, right? Because both involve obstacles, both involve discomfort, and both involve uncertainty. So the key in this instance is how it feels. Yes, we are back to this. How does it feel in your body? If it's resistance, I want you to think of that as growth in disguise. Resistance shows up when we're stepping outside of our comfort zone. Yes, it feels hard, but it feels hard in a way that challenges us. So that can be like you feel fear or you doubt yourself, but deep down, you still feel so excited about trying this thing that you're trying. When it's resistance, the obstacles feel like a personal challenge. So it feels like something that you know in your heart you got to overcome. When we talk about things like imposter syndrome or fear of failure or procrastination, those are personal challenges that you know you need to overcome. I assume if you are hanging out with me, even if you are on the very first part of your personal development journey, you know enough to understand that you shouldn't be walking around in life with imposter syndrome. You know that you'd like to get over your fear of failure or your procrastination. You know that. So if you know that they are personal challenges that you should overcome, that's resistance. That's you growing on the other side of the challenge. Another sign that it's resistance is a really big one. You get small wins that make you want to keep going. If you are getting nowhere, nothing's happening, girl, God's talking. You need to listen. But if little things are happening, oh, okay, wow, that showed up, and okay, that worked out, and okay, this is doing its thing. Those are small wins. Those are breadcrumbs that are helping you to keep walking down the trail. So the big one here, if it's resistance, it's going to feel difficult, but still exciting. The possibility still feels exciting. And it aligns with the bigger vision that you have for your life. So you want to keep moving in that direction, even if it's scary. That's resistance. Let's talk about when it's redirection, when you are supposed to be like, okay, different path for me. Redirection is the universe saying, not this way. It's like you're driving in a car and you see one of those signs. It's like detour, like you need to take 7th Street instead of 1st Ave because we can't get through that way. We got to go this way. And the important thing to mention with this idea of redirection is that the redirection is an answer, and it is you moving somewhere. Meaning, have you ever heard that expression that God only has 3 answers? God says yes, God says no, God says not right now. So redirection is maybe not right now. It's maybe no, go over here actually, because we don't want you over there, we want you over here. Or it's yes to the finish line that you have in mind, but not on that path. We got a better way for you. But what I want you to get is that the redirection is still moving you forward. You're getting redirection and thinking it's a stop sign, but it's just a detour. So if it's redirection, it can sometimes still feel like you're hitting walls, but it's not about testing your commitment. It's about guiding you towards something better. So here's some signs it's redirection. No matter how hard you try, nothing is moving forward. There are no breadcrumbs. There are no little wins. Nothing is happening. Second sign, you feel like you're constantly hitting a dead end, but you don't know anything else that you can do. So the difference, if you notice, with resistance, those are challenges to overcome. When it's redirection, there's no challenge to overcome. There's like nothing. It's just no. The third sign that it's redirection, you feel exhausted. You feel drained. You feel uninspired. And if you're being honest with yourself, you feel like you're forcing something that doesn't fit. Here's another good sign. The thought of quitting brings you relief, not regret. Like if you look into the future and you're like, oh my God, I'm going to regret this so much if I give up now, that's really important to pay attention to. But if you think about quitting and all you can feel is relief, this is redirection. Go in the direction of ease. So if you feel like you are coming up against redirection, or honestly, even if you're coming up against resistance, shift to curiosity. If you feel like you're getting these signs, I want you to get curious about what God is trying to tell you in this moment. What is this teaching me? And I wanted to add one little juicy nugget here. I was imagining I was like sitting with you guys, we were face to face, and we could have more real conversation about your life and I could get a bit more context. But I thought, what if someone keeps hitting obstacles because they don't have the knowledge or skills that they need to get where they want to go? Like sometimes you hit obstacles because the path is blocked, right? Sometimes you hit obstacles because it's resistance or a challenge that you're trying to overcome. And in that instance, like I told you, I'm terrible at hiring people. If I ask myself, what is the universe trying to teach me right now? The answer is not that you can't have team members and employees to help you do your company. That's not what the universe is saying. If I'm really honest, the obstacle is, well, I'm not the person to hire them. It's a knowledge or a skill that I don't possess. So either I can gain the knowledge, I can acquire the skill, or I could hire someone to do that for me. But I wanted to add this in here because some of you think that the dream is not for you because it's hard. And the reality is you just need a few more things in your toolkit before you're going to be able to do what you want to do. Okay, so here's the question to ask yourself. Am I facing rejection because this isn't for me, or because I need more knowledge, more skills, or more strategy? And here's some tactics to figure it out. Number one, get honest feedback. Honesty is the name of the game. Do you hear the same critique from multiple sources? Not just one person, but several people tell you the same critique over and over. That might mean that you need to refine your approach. Number two, take a course, seek a mentor, tweak your method before assuming that it's not meant for you. You might just need to go about it in a different way. And the way you understand how to go about it is that you learn and you make decisions based on what you learned. Number three, look for patterns. If every attempt is getting slightly better, keep going. But if you're facing something and nothing changes, it might be time to pivot. Please just really pay attention to what kind of resistance you are getting. Don't get distracted from where you are going because it feels hard to get there. Y'all, it is always going to feel hard to pursue something new. Because if you already knew how to get to that goal, you would be there. But you don't know how to get to that goal, which means it's going to be hard and you're going to have to figure some stuff out along the way. Last thing I'm going to say about this, if you're getting the sign, if you're getting no, if you're getting not right now, if you're getting something from the universe that feels like it really bums you out because you really would love to find your wife, or you really would love to have a baby, or you would really love to have this dream job, and you feel discouraged because you feel pretty confident you're being given the not right now sign, I just can't stress this to you enough, that God has perfect timing. We don't have perfect timing, but God has perfect timing. I can think of endless examples. The first time that I decided to be a mom and I tried to get pregnant, it took me, almost a year. And I know some people try for so much longer than that. But my point is that every month when I wasn't pregnant, I would be so sad. And now I realize that if I had gotten pregnant at any point before that, I wouldn't have my son. Similarly, when we went through the adoption process with my daughter, we had, 5 years of failed attempts at adoption before we got Noah. And every single time was so painful, and every single time I wanted to give up. And if any of those had worked out, I wouldn't know my daughter. I can think of situations where I loved an apartment or a house I really wanted to rent. I was obsessed, and I was like, this is perfect. This is for me. Everything lines up and I have everything and da-da-da-da. And it just didn't work. Oh, these people who were renting the house decided they wanted to live in it last minute. And just all of these things stacked up, and I would be so sad. And then later I would get what actually was the dream apartment. And it was closer to my office, and I could walk to my favorite coffee shop. All of these things happened, and I'm like, oh, thank God I didn't get what I thought was the dream. I'm sure all of us have a story about someone that we had a super crush on, or we thought we were so in love with, and we wanted to spend our life with this person. And now you look back, you're like, oh my Lord, if I had ended up with that guy I was in love with in high school, what would your life be like now? I truly could give you so many examples of this, and you have them in your own life. If you have never taken the time to look back and ask yourself, what were all the times that I thought I was being rejected and I was actually being redirected? What are all the God slamming a door in my face that I now realize was what I needed to take the right path? If you've never looked up all of those moments and thought about them, recorded them in your journal, please take the time to do that. Please, please, please. Because when you start to see how you have been guided, you will begin to trust the path more. When you see how God has lit the trail to light your path, you will walk with more confidence. And you might not know where you're going, but you're like, well, I have always been safe up until this point. I'm going to trust that I will make the right decisions for my life going forward. And you learn to trust yourself, and you learn to trust that small voice in your stomach that is always guiding you if you'll just listen to it. Signs from the universe, they're not magical. They're about awareness. And when you trust yourself more, the signs become clearer. I would love to ask you to spend the next week paying attention to the signs around you. Do some journaling, maybe look back on those past experiences and see all the times that your path has been guided. I think that will really, really help you guys. And I hope that you'll start to see more signs and symbols along the way. If you have made it to this point in the conversation, congratulations, you finished a podcast. Good for you. I hope you dug it. If you know anyone who's woo-woo like we are and would dig it too, please consider sharing it. I will be back soon with more conversation. We post a new episode Monday through Friday, so check in every morning if you need a little dose of something on your way to work. Until next time, as always, I love you, and I'm rooting for you. The Rachel Hollis Podcast is produced by me, Rachel Hollis. It's edited by Andrew Weller and Jack Noble.
Okay, business leaders, are you here to play or are you playing to win? If you're in it to win, meet your next MVP. NetSuite by Oracle. NetSuite is your full business management system in one convenient suite. With NetSuite, you're running your accounting, your finance, your HR, your e-commerce, and more, all from your online dashboard. Upgrade your playbook and make the switch to NetSuite, the #1 cloud ERP.
Get the CFO's Guide to AI and Machine Learning at netsuite.com/podcast25. netsuite.com/podcast25.